Thanks a lot. That was beautiful. So, I'm so happy. By the way, thank you everybody for reading from this book. It means a great deal to me. I hadn't actually planned to edit this book, and I didn't want to edit a book like this, except that when the war ended last year, it seemed that once again there was going to be amnesia. And what was going to be forgotten was not merely the bombing, merely the devastation, but what was going to be forgotten is that that nationality undergoes dispossession daily. There is a daily dispossession. This is not something that happened in 1948. This happens every day. So I wanted to capture emotionally the sense of that pummeling that now seems to happen every 3 or 4 years to Gaza. There's this periodic and almost legal destruction of a part of the world that has come to symbolize the largest open-air prison in the world. But at the same time, there's this everyday dispossession that takes place not only in the West Bank, not only in Gaza, but also within 48 Israel, and also among the diaspora. There is a sense of, I think, humanity that's always under threat. People with such inflation experiencing this feeling that Palestinians are terrorists. And therefore, that erosion of humanity, I felt we should somehow capture. And so, instead of having a book which gets into the argument, whose terms have been set by the occupier and its greatest enabler, the United States, instead of getting into an argument about which area should be for Palestinians, which area should be for Israelis, instead of getting into an argument about security and terrorism, instead of getting into an argument about history and things that are so well argued over on terrain that has not been set by the people who are occupied, instead of all that, I thought, why don't we just write a book from the heart and see where this takes us? Why don't we short-circuit the heart and the head and see if we come up with anything? I no longer wanted to get into those discussions, those debates, where they're exhausting, they don't lead anywhere, and everybody's humanity gets, I think, lessened. In the sense that people who are on both sides of this, I think now, historic shouting match, neither side enjoys this. Neither side seems to find any gain from it. I'm not interested in that. I'm more interested in reaching out to a population, that is the American population, which I think has now come to understand that the one-sided single narrative that it's been getting from the media is not sufficient. That in order to have a richer understanding, you need to hear other people's voices. Now, there are many books of Palestinians telling their story. And somehow, for whatever reason, perhaps because of the erosion of the humanity of the Palestinian voice, I thought it would be more adequate for an American audience to listen to Americans, Arab Americans, Jewish Americans, non-Arab Americans, non-Jewish Americans. I thought Americans would be more likely to listen to Americans and see Palestine through their eyes. And perhaps then they might believe some of the things that other people are trying to tell them. So it's not the question that I wanted to edit a book where there were no Palestinian voices, because I don't think Palestinian voices are important, quite the contrary. I did this strategically to bring other voices to the table in the hope that people who read and listen might take seriously things that the Palestinians have been saying for quite a long while. So that's the real reason why I wanted very much to have American writers. And we can talk in a little bit, but I want to say something about these writers. Some of these people are very famous and they have careers that they've made, and none of the people that I approached hesitated to contribute to this book. I find this to be remarkable. There is a real sea change in the United States where I think there is a new openness to listen to the details of events in the region. There's a new openness, and I think we should embrace this openness. It happens that the political class is unable or doesn't yet know that there's this new openness, and the political class is still ready to be bullied by the lobbies, by the Israeli government, by this and that and the other voice. And that's the political class. And in time, I think, this sea change in the country is going to have an impact on the political class, but that time is not now. Because that political class is utterly deaf, stone deaf in any event to what the population believes. Many of you marched against the Iraq war in 2003. The political class utterly ignored you. Many of us have for years warned about the power of the banks. The political class entirely ignored us. On this issue as well, despite the sea change, the political class is not going to take us seriously. We need to reach out to new audiences, to people who are not going to be immediately, I think, drawn to the narratives that we are talking about. And for that reason, we need to reach out to new voices and new writers to speak boldly, where previously they have been, I think, slightly cautious. There's no need to be cautious. A writer doesn't write sitting on their knees. Writers should write standing up. And I was very happy from the front with Juno Diaz with his very forthright statement about Americans being deranged about Palestine. So thank you so much for coming, and thank you very much for supporting this book. I'm happy to have some questions, discussion if you'd like, and then I'd like you to have a look at the book. So please, let's have a few minutes if you'd like of discussion.